to win the league, and you're playing down at West Ham, and you win 6-1.
Doesn't get any better.
I don't think any team done that. His little team talk at half time was, you get the other goal, make it 3-1, lads, you're going to win this game. And we're all laughing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we've got to get it. Yeah.
Senior service cigarette in my hand. Glass of champagne in the other, stood up on a chair and said, right lads, just remember, I started to move for our second goal and I passed the ball back to Ali Fenley. But you wouldn't get that today, would you? The way he played and the way he scored goals, and I think he was just different class.
Hello, and here we are again with United Legends on tour, brought to you by Superstar Speakers. And I'm delighted to welcome, as always, a real Manchester United legend, Alex Stepney. Hi, Al, you okay?
Very well, thank you.
Alex, there's so much we can talk about with your journey with United and the sort of history and the way that, your pathway led to United. Tell us how the first steps began and how it all started for Alex Stepney getting to Man United.
Well, it was a strange one now because I started my career back at Millwall. I was a late starter, 20 years age. But I had 3 years, I had 3 good years. And I won 3 under-23 caps under Alf Ramsey back in 66, 65, 66. And then, because I was playing in the 3rd division and we won promotion to the 2nd division with Millwall. And I wanted first team football, 1st division football, sorry. And that was it. And then all of a sudden, they come here Ron Green. We knew we wanted to go to West Ham. This was in May 66. That fell through because Millwall and West Ham don't get on. And the next thing, Tommy Docherty was there. He wanted me to sign for Chelsea. Well, I didn't want to sign for Chelsea because there was Peter Bonetti.
Right.
And Peter Bonetti was the first choice keeper, but he was with the World Cup squad. He was third choice goalkeeper for the 66 World Cup squad. And that was it, basically. But Tommy said, no, I'm selling Peter to West Ham. So I knew it was on.
Right.
I signed for Chelsea. And that was it. And then before Peter had signed for West Ham, unfortunately, the chairman of Chelsea passed away of a heart attack, which is very sad, but it was the best thing that happened for it, to be honest, because...
In hindsight,
because the new chairman came in and said, Peter Bonety's not going, so that was it. And then I think about the 3rd game of the season, I was in reserve because Peter was playing. I played 1 game at Southampton. We won 3-0. And on the Monday, I think Peter thought, he was on his way because he was in the press, not like it is today. Manchester United were interested in signing a goalkeeper. But it was me.
Wow.
And I went training on the Monday morning. I got a message to go back to Stamford Bridge. The manager wanted to see me. He said, get in the car. I said, where are we going? He said, you'll find out. And that was Tommy Dot, wasn't it?
Yeah. And no agents involved.
No, there was no agents in those days. he was his own agent, anyway. But no, it was just one of those things. He took me to the White House Hotel in the Euston Station. I said, what am I doing here? And he said, wait and see. And then Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy walked through the door.
What was that like, Alex?
Well, it was incredible because I thought, I couldn't believe it, But there was, I knew directly they walked through the door who was in charge. Because Tommy Dot, he was bowing down to me.
Wow.
Because Matt Busby, he was, and Jimmy as well, of course. And that was it. And I just, Matt went with Tommy, I went with Jimmy. Jimmy was saying, Tommy tried to tell me what a great player George Best was, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, Bobby Starks, Paddy Crown. And Jim, I do know.
I've heard of that.
But I've never met him, and that was it. And
wow.
Because Matt came in and everything was sorted. And basically that was it. And I went the following day, we got the train up to Manchester. And because in those days there was no fax machines or anything like that, it was just I had to come up here and went to the Secretary's Les Olives office, signed.
Wow.
That was it.
So money wasn't a problem, the negotiation, you know, you wanted to sign in your heart of hearts for United.
Well,
that was all done and dusted, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember Munich, you know, because I was 15, I was at school, and because I used to, unbelievable, to get 2 to 6 a week, I think it was like, to deliver groceries to old people, and I knocked on the door and this old guy was crying there. And I just said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Manchester United had been in a plane crash in Munich." And I think, and I'm South London, and it hit everybody. I mean, we know how bad it was, but for Manchester United, people in Manchester, supporters, but it also affected Londoners, people who supported other teams.
Yeah.
But never dreamt that 8 years later I'd be playing for.
Living the dream, Alex.
Very incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
So, you've met with Jimmy, you've met with Matt, the deal's done, you're going to play for Manchester United. So how soon was it before you made your debut then, after all those discussions?
Well, I came up on the Tuesday, because the Monday that they came down, I came back with them on the Tuesday. And obviously on the Wednesday, Johnny Aston Senior picked me up from Diggs. I was in Diggs with Jimmy Ryan.
Really?
Yeah, up a railway road there. And John Aston Senior came and picked me up. He said, "Right, I've got to take you where the lads are training," which was at the time the ship canal in Debut Bay. And so John took me there because they were playing Blackpool in a League Cup tie-up on the Wednesday night. Obviously, I wasn't the leisure one, so that was it. And they introduced me to the players. Well, Matt did. Matt introduced me to everyone and shook hands with everybody. And I knew straight away, family.
Did you?
Oh, family. My only real thought about the past was I wondered if anybody spoke about Munich. I knew straight away. No. And it never got mentioned. It never got mentioned when I was a player.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. I think the only time was when we won, obviously, come to win the European Cup. I don't know if you'll come in onto that later, but, you know, we all went to them in the final whistle, but to Bill, Bobby and Matt, you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. But so, what was your debut like?
Well, my debut was strangely because, you know, Manchester was a fantastic football city. It still is, really, but in all due respect, I think it was a time when lots of Manchester United supporters went to watch 1 week United at home and then City away, and the same with City supporters. So, and we're playing Man City. My first game was against City, a derby game, you know, 63,000 here at Old Trafford.
Nervous?
No, I never. You might sound strange, but I never really got nervous as a goalkeeper. I suppose you should do, really. But no, I didn't. My main thoughts was, like most players, you all have your own way of getting ready to play. And it's only when you go in the dressing room to get changed and give yourself time to get ready. And I always timed it that directly I got in half an hour before the game. I knew if I start getting changed, directly I've done that boot up to perfection. And the lace on it, you know, the bell would go and out we go. So that was it.
Incredible. And looking at the team that you were becoming part of, you know, little did we know the history that you were all going to create. No. But as Alex Stepney, what was it like for you when you looked at these players? I mean, just throw us a few names of who was in the squad when you were playing and made your debut.
Well, I mean, you've got to remember there was only, I think, 14, 15 of us in the squad. And when you've got Nobby Stubbs, you've got Bobby Charlton, George Best, Dennis Thorpe, Paddy Crowe, Tony Dunn, Shane Brennan, even Harry Craig was still there.
Wow.
You know, and David Gaskell was a goal, and Pat Dunn. So I was it was 4 goalkeepers. But, you know, it was incredible to work with them. And the main thing was, for me, I like to obviously command things that I wanted. And when you're playing with people like Bill Fulks and Tony Dunn and Shea Brennan and even David Sadler, of course, and Noel Campbell was still there, you know.
So there was a legacy.
There was his legacy, but every one of them sort of we had a chat, and what I wanted, because I always believed that I was a puppeteer. Right, I'm at the back, I can see everything going on, and I want around that 18-yard box, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And they listened, which, the other teams that I played for didn't, because they're all different mix of players, basically. Players that were finishing the games in the third and fourth division. But no, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I like the analogy there, Al. You were like pulling the strings and controlling. Well, it was your territory, wasn't it?
Well, I don't want the ball near me. If I haven't got the ball near me, we're up the other end.
Very sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because great players, especially with forwards. When you've got 3 European footballers of the year forwards, plus, I think the guy, I reckon he had a harder shot than Bobby, was David Hurd. Wow. Because they had a competition, and I think, that's where the old ball, it was about 90, 100 mile an hour when they timed it. But I think David Hurd and Peter Lorimer tied.
Wow.
With these.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that.
No, not.
They're exclusive for Alex Stepney. So you fitted into the team. By the sound of it, it was a smooth transition. There was no sort of areas or any time where you thought, I'm not going to be part of this team. You've said yourself, family. So you start winning games, and the Premier League, the league, the Division 1, Division 1. What was it like, your first sort of title with United?
Well, it was incredible because, like I said, there was only 14, 15 players, Yeah. And if any player got injured, you had to play in the reserve game. You didn't go back in straight. You had to play, so you always had another player coming in. But Matt done a strange, to me, I couldn't believe it but this is how clever it was, and Jimmy, of course, as well. Tony Dunn was a natural left footer, as my left fullback, and because Noel had gone, he then brought Bill Forbes into centre half because he was a right fullback. And he moved Tony Dunn to right fullback, and he brought in a young lad called Bobby Noble. And Bobby was, he was when he captained England, the youth team, to World Cup victories, but what a good player, a hard man. You had to have hard players in defence in those days because we had that, Nobby and Paddy as well, so that was all about. But Bobby was a great asset. And sadly, as we came to, I think the second or third game from the end of the season, I think we needed a point to win the league. Bobby was in a tragic car accident, and obviously he couldn't play. It was after we played Sunderland. We drew at Sunderland, and we needed a point. And on the way home, he was involved in a car crash, and that finished his career. So then Tony came back, and Shea Brennan became right back. It was one of those things. But to win the league, a couple of games to go, and you're playing down at West Ham, and you win 6-1.
Doesn't get any better.
I don't think any team done that, to win a title. But one of the strangest things was because Matt was he always shook your hand before you went out, before the game. He never shouted or anything like that. He just, have a good game, son, go and enjoy yourself. That was the way it was. But at half time, you come in and he'd be there again, shaking your hand, well done, keep going. And then out again, you go again. But at West Ham, we were winning. I think Paddy scored right on half time to make it 3-1. But Matt was so intense of getting in the dressing room to greet us and shake a hand that he missed the goal.
No.
And then his little team talk at half time was, you get the other goal, make it 3-1, lads. You're going to win this game. And we're all laughing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we've done it again. Yeah.
Because we finished up winning 6-1.
Yeah, brilliant memories, Alice. It's so clear. And of course, the success and obviously the happiness you were involved in. To use the word family, that's incredible. So you've won the first division, and then the next year, talk us through it.
Wasn't it? But the thing was, you see, back then you had to win the division to go into the European Cup because it was straight knockout.
Yeah,
straight knockout. And by doing that, obviously we were excited and obviously trying to, emulate probably what they would have done, the Munich team would have done. It was 10 years afterwards. But to go on that sort of episode of winning it, the grounds that we played on, I mean, the players today would never played on.
No.
I mean, health and safety was not even, there was never any doubt in those days.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't play. I mean, Malta, we played in Malta, the away game, we played on I think it was a concrete pitch with sand on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then we went to Sarajevo. I mean, Sarajevo was, I think we flew to Dubrovnik because the club didn't do we had to go real flights, no higher flights because of what happened in Munich. We had an 8-hour coach journey from Dubrovnik to Sarajevo through the mountains. I mean, imagine the next day coming home and plan again on Saturday. That's how it was in those days. But you done it. It was your job. And then Gornik. When we played in Gornik, it was 105,000 in the stadium. It was 16 below. There was no roof on it. It was just a bowl.
Wow.
And there was 6 inches of snow on the pitch, which had been trampled down or scraped off. And we got through that one. We lost 1-0, but right at the end, so we got through that. And then because you talk about Real Madrid, 130,000 there, and losing 3-1 at half time. I mean, Bessie scored a great goal here to put us 1-0 up before the leg, and obviously that was incredible. David Souther scored, and Bill Fawkes, of all people, survivor from Munich, scores a winner. Never been over that halfway line in his life.
Yeah. Great memories though, aren't they? And I mean, you're looking at that build-up, Alex. I mean, just talk us through, Sir Matt and what it meant and actually winning it on the night. I mean,
he was a very clever man. The semi-final. I mean, at half-time, we hadn't played. We made a couple of mistakes, defensively, and that happens. But to go in that dressing room at half-time, because he never swore, Matt. He never ever swore. He was just a gentleman, but he was very clever. And I remember going out to sermon, and he was sat on the stool, and we had his pipe, and he just said, well, he didn't say anything, he just, because when you got 10 minutes, that's what it was in those days, 10 minutes. Sat there, and he never said anything. Because your head drops on it. But he didn't, he got out. They started laughing at us. Now, can you imagine? He started laughing at us. Well, he was going to semi-final European Cup. You should be able to enjoy yourself. And the second team, why are you doing it? You're embarrassing. The supporters have travelled all this way. Go out and play what you've been doing all season. Go and enjoy yourself. Even because the bell went, all he said was, get an early goal, you'll win this game. Bang. And then David Souther scored, I think, after about 5 or 10 minutes.
Wow. Memories.
Well, that to me was, the defining moment of that time. Right. If any manager had gone and shouted or started going out, he wouldn't have got a response. But that was the way we were. All for him, the club, everybody, everyone supports us. And
the final whistle goes.
Yeah.
You're part of one of the biggest historic moments in Manchester United's history. We were aware of that at that time.
At the semi-final or the final?
No, sorry, in the final.
In the
final whistle goes.
At the final, we knew, obviously you know what it's about, you know what I mean? The first half was, there was a few hard tackles, wasn't it? But, when that final, we got to the extra time, and that was it, but I think, the classic of all classics, I think about, being a goalkeeper. So, the referee that day was Labello from Italy, and he was a referee in when we played Gornik, and he pulled me up because I took a cross from a corner on that snowy pitch, and I held on to it. Momentum took me on, but I only had 4 seconds, and he pulled me up for it, and they scored from the corner. From the free kick, sorry. They scored from it. It ricocheted him, and he's only the referee in the final. And I'm thinking, my God, I can't mess around with this bloody ball, you know. And so we're going to extra time.
Yeah.
And Tony Dunn got the ball on my left, and I think he actually could have played it up to Bobby or forward, but he didn't want to make a mistake in those days. So Wembley turf in those days was, you know, a lot of players got injured by even from that turf. And he passed it back to me. Now, when he passed it back, I thought, what are you doing? I've got to get rid of it, you know. And everyone started, and I saw Shea Brennan to right nowhere near him, and I threw it to him straight away. He didn't want it, and he threw it back. He kicked it back to me. Now I've got to kick it. So I kick it, and because young Brian kid got flick on, and George was full of running.
Yeah,
you know, we scored 2. And then it becomes 2-1. Then Brian scored, and everything fell into place. Then, didn't it? Yeah. Bobby scored a fantastic 4th goal, and that was it. And because winning it was tremendous. And like I said, subconsciously, although we had never spoke about Munich, we all went. Matt, Bobby, Bill.
Wow.
And I don't know who it was, but when we received that trophy, and we got down the steps, and someone said that that's where the families are, but as a pass away.
Oh.
And we sort of showed it to them, and they could done that lap of honour. Now you can imagine what it's like. Can you imagine what it's like in that dressing room? Unbelievable. My brother, who was 15 years older than me, he was like 40 at the time, comes in the dressing room. I said, "How did you get here?" I said, "I'm not going to miss this. I blagged it. I jumped over the fence. I jumped over the dog track and the speedway track and ran up the tunnel and blagged my way up." And Matt says, "Who's that?" I said, "It's my brother, Eric." He said, "Oh, no problem." Huh? And then when we won, I know it's a bit different, but when we won the FA Cup in 77, we had to do it in the middle of the hotel here, and I invited my brother and his wife, because they lived down in Eastbourne. Matt Busby came over. "Eric, how are you?" That's 10 years afterwards. No. That's the way, because I believe Alex Ferguson was the same. But anyway, going back to the European Cup final, yeah, that was it. And because in that dressing room, you can imagine it was like, you know, but you always get a lull.
Yeah.
You always get a lull.
A moment of reflection.
You know, quiet. And Shea Brennan, you know, character.
Yeah.
Because we had character. Senior service cigarette in one hand, glass of champagne in the other, stood up on a chair. I said, "Right, lads, just remember, I started to move for our 2nd goal when I passed the ball back to Ali Fleming." But you wouldn't get that today, would you?
Oh, brilliant, Alex. Yeah. We've got to talk about the save.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that is your moment, isn't it? I mean, what a moment as well, you know, just right at the end of the first half. I mean, what's your overview of that?
Well, the thing was, I mean, we knew, I mean, Matt, the only sort of instruction he did go before we went out onto the pitch, up the tunnel, was, "Nobby, you've got to look after your saviour for 90 minutes, like you did for England against Portugal, you know, in the semi-final of the World Cup, like 2 years earlier." So, but that was always the case. You know, players marked players in those days and things like that. But it was just one of those things, and the ball was played through. And I can remember Tony, I think, Tony had Gracia, I think, he was marking Gracia. I think it's the Samoas that put the ball through. Shea Brennan had Augusto. Big Phil Fawkes had Torres, who was 6'5". The ball was beating everybody. And I came off my line a bit, because I thought it was like a, let's say, 55, 45 ball for me as it came into the box. But it slowed up on the Wembley turf. And I went back and I've always been taught, or not taught, but thing was about, from even learning from players and everything, you've always got to be forward. If you're backwards, you got nowhere to go. And I went back and I went forward again, and he smashed it. But he gave me that chance really, because he always wanted to burst the back of the net, Eusebio, and he really cracked it, and it stuck in the chest. I mean, it stuck, and that was it. But I knew it was only about 4 or 5 minutes to go. So once I caught the ball, my main thought was start an attack. And like I said, we're talking about what players used to do. I wanted, when I got the ball, fullbacks wide, boom, we started attack. And Tony had done that. He'd gone, totally done. So that was my thing. And as I threw it, he was right in front of me, but I'd miss what he did. I've only seen it on really what he applauded me, which was unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
I mean, gentleman, you know. So, I mean, Sir Bobby, a gentleman. I mean, how many players today, you know, forwards do that to a goalkeeper?
No. Just while you've mentioned Sir Bobby, let's just reflect on him. I mean, the player he was, the man he was, and the friend he was to you. You know, I mean, a beautiful quote that you've come up with recently regarding Sir Bobby was absolutely beautiful when you were interviewed, you know, that he was just like so wonderful to watch.
Well, it was. It was the way he ran over whatever pitch we played on. It looked so easy, you know.
Poetry in motion.
It was poetry in motion, and the balls, and he was always looking around. He never stopped running, and that was one thing about a lot of players in our team. Everyone was running, you know, kept running, and he kept running, and he kept finding space. And he knew players were looking for space as well. So, and he was a great passer of the ball as well, don't forget. You know, not only had a great shot, but whatever, once he laid that ball from midfield, wherever, halfway line, out wide, he followed in, because he knew if anything came around that box, bang, because he had a great left foot and of course a great right foot.
Let's talk about your other pal, Georgie.
Well, I mean, what can you say about George? I mean, he was a masterclass on his own, really. And I think what I realised when I joined was that it seemed to me that, I mean, I'd seen George before, but he was basically a right winger, a winger, and he would beat player after player after player, which he'd done all his career, really. But and he'd get back. But I think Matt was very clever. I think he knew there was so much potential in George that why not let him run? Why not let him go anywhere on the bench? And that's what he did. But George was very clever as well, because we used to, I mean, in those days, you know, they saw Manchester United on probably once a month or twice a month, you know, on Match of the Day for about 20 minutes. We used to go and watch games. Yeah,
what was the group of lads?
Oh yeah, me, Paddy, and George, and we go to Leeds, we go to Liverpool, we go to why not? Why not? Because that was the way it was in those days, and because I remember George, Paddy and I finished training one day on the Friday morning at the Cliff, and we're playing Liverpool here at Old Trafford on Saturday, and he just said. George came up. He said, "I want to try something out." Well, what do you want? You know. So he said, "Come on." He gave Paddy the ball. He said, "Paddy, go in the old right half position on the training pitch." He said, "And face that goal down there." He said, "Andy, you go and goal against me up there." And he said, "Paddy, I want you to turn and with second touch, knock a diagonal ball. It's going to land about 20 yards in the left wing position." And he stood on the halfway line. And he just said to me, "Alec, you do what you would do in a game when I come at you." Because Paddy was a great passer of the ball. Off he goes. George goes down the line. So we said, he said, well, Bill Shankly has his back four of Emin Hughes, Ronnie Hayes, Tommy Smith, Chris Lawler.
Yeah.
Tommy Lodge, the goalkeeper. They always play high up the pitch. So we were playing at Liverpool, sorry. And that was the way it is. And anyone came over the halfway line, they beat him back, left him at limit. George said, I can beat him. Anyway, Paddy played this ball, and he gets to the ball, and he comes at me at the angle. Now, I'm trying to push him away. I'm trying to push him. He kept coming straight at me. The ball's never more than 6 inches from his toes. And now I've got to dive at his feet. And as I went to dive at his feet, he toe poked it. The ball hit my shin, went back to him, and he put the ball in the empty net. And he just said, that'll do well. You didn't expect that, did you? I said,
Did it work the next day?
oh, of course it did. He'd done it. I took a book from a corner, and I threw it to Paddy, and Paddy went bop, and then he threw. The ball went between Yates and Smith. He got between Smith and Lawler, got the ball. Emmy Hughes couldn't get there. Tommy Lyons come out, but just done the same thing. Knocked his against his shin and put the ball in the empty net. To the cop.
Yeah.
I laughed.
Brilliant. The other player I just want to speak about around that period, and we'll move on to the success with the cup games and everything else in the 70s, but Dennis Law.
Well, Dennis Law, I mean, everyone knows about Dennis Law. I mean, my first game was against City, because he's playing for Manchester United. And he scored, so we won 1-0.
Yeah.
I think he scored against Harry Dowd. That was it. Because the last game I played against Dennis, who for City, well, City fans said that we relegated, but we weren't. We were already down.
Yeah.
So, but Dennis was a great guy. Absolute. I mean, irrespective, from my point of view, of him being Scottish and Paddy being Scottish, Bobby and Nobby and I being English. We had some great fun about that. You probably couldn't get away with what was said yesterday, but that was it. But Dennis, tremendous. I mean, when you think of the goals that he scored, he was an incredible header of the ball. And the three of them, because George could do all this thing. Bobby was always scored goals from 25, 30 yards. Dennis was a predator around the 18-yard box.
Fox in the box.
Oh, but his heading the ball was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was enjoyable. It was a great guy to play with as well.
Yeah. So as we move on, 1968, we won the European Cup. The team afterwards, when we're looking into the 70s, it seemed to struggle. I mean, what would you put that down to?
Well, sadly, I've got to say that, Matt had achieved what he wanted to achieve, like Bobby as well, and Bill Ford, of course. But, no, it was time. And he had so much going on in those days. I mean, mate, freedom of City and United and this, that. And because it catches up on you, and it was his time to say, well, I'm moving upstairs. So then you had another manager coming in. It's not going to be, and I'm not with respect to who's going to come in. It's not going to be, a family man or for 25 years. Simple as that. And because whoever comes in, they want their players. So some players, you always get a player who's going to move in the season. But Matt only used about two, I think. One about before Christmas and one after Christmas. So then you start getting a surplus of players. And then, because that manager loses his job, a new manager comes, he wants somebody else, he wants other players in. So all of a sudden, your dressing room of 14 is like 20 on. It doesn't work. It never will work until it's finalised that his squad is the one he wants.
There were always going to be big shoes to step into, weren't they? And I mean, what was it like from your viewpoint? Wilf McGuinness coming in.
Well, Wilf came in. It was at a time that I got injured. At Arsenal. I'd done my shoulder and I was out for 6 weeks and blah, blah, blah. I come back from Mexico in 70 and it was one of those. It was, fair dues, he brought Jimmy Rimmer up. And Jimmy played and I presume Jimmy had been playing well, so he kept it in. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for Will. And then because Matt came back, took over the reins, I think with about 8 or 10 games to go or something, because he brought me back, and so I'm back in the fold again.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. And then obviously Frank Fowler came. We were doing so well under Frank until Christmas. But we needed someone. We were winning games 2-1, 3-2. Bill was, no disrespect to Bill Forbes, but he knew he was getting on and things like that. We needed someone. But it was a bit sad. One of the greatest players that he did buy was Martin Buck. Fantastic player, but it was too late.
Yeah.
And that was because then Tommy Dodd comes.
Yeah.
It's all right, Tommy Dodd. I only had him 4 months at Chelsea, 3 months of the closed season.
You are bitter.
I've got Tommy Dodd again.
You knew that was going to happen, didn't you?
Never dreamt of that, but there we go.
Football's a funny old game.
Absolutely.
So we'll come to the Dock in a moment, because I know you've got some great stories about the Dock, but obviously relegation. Alex Stepney, you've won the league with United, you've won the European Cup with United, and then Manchester United, the club you loved that you played for, relegated. What was that like?
It was devastating, absolutely devastating. But I've got to say that I always looked at my own contribution, and I think, if I remember rightly, I looked at I played the 42 games. So did Martin Buchan, and I think we lost about 10 games 1-0, something like that. And I let in 48 goals, I think.
I think it's interesting because when you look at the second division and you're on the circuit, you do the dinners, the memories that United fans have got from that second division and getting promoted, and then what went on after it's just brilliant.
Well, it's one of those things that, we can talk about. Obviously, I could talk about it because although you're playing, and you've been relegated to the second division, and you're playing here, and there's 55,000 supporters, and wherever we went around the country, there was riots outside. No one could get tickets. That's Manchester United for you. Yeah. But there is a good thing about winning the second division.
Yeah.
This European Cup, first division, second division, FA Cup. There's not another Manchester United player who's got a second division.
Roll of honour. When you look at it like that.
No, but preferred it to really won the first division. But anyway, that's how we got.
So, with life, there is ups, there is downs.
Of course.
You've had that in your personal life as well.
Absolutely.
In your football career. We get promoted, we've got the Dock. We're going to talk about some of your managers, but let's have a chat about the Dock. He was an interesting character, wasn't he?
Well, he was a character because I can go back to the 60s, actually, when Chelsea had a fantastic team. He was manager. They had a chance, and over Easter was the main sort of time that championships could be won and relegations happened. And things went haywire, I think, for Chelsea, and they lost it over Easter because of some players going out in Blackpool, over Easter. Anyway, that's it. But he never went on about it. He just carried on. He liked young players, which is no problem, and he liked to have fun with them. Everybody. He caused a lot of enjoyable days and trips. But then again, there was the other side to him, which obviously the older you get, there's a problem. And actually, we did have quite a few differences. But at the end of the day, I challenged him. He didn't say booster goose. He accepted it, and from that day on, we were great pals.
Yeah.
So that's life. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. We're looking at the cup finals. You lose one, you win one. Tell us about those emotions from losing it to then winning it.
Well, obviously losing it was. That was my dream, treble.
Yeah.
Not like Peter Schmeichel doing it in 1 year. We do it in 10 years or 9 years.
Which is in there.
Yeah. So it was a bit surreal, really. But we didn't play well.
No.
Not to the standard that we have been playing all season.
I cried that day, Al.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah, I cried as well. Well, because, even when I was a kid, playing football on the park, with me mates, and that, you dream that you're playing the FA Cup final, and you're meeting the Queen, and but there you go, that was sad. But 1 year later,
Wow.
the greatest thing ever.
And not only the greatest thing ever, but it was against Liverpool.
Well, that's right, they were on the treble.
Yeah.
I got mine. They never got it.
It sounds good, that. Alex Stepney treble. No trouble for Liverpool. So the difference from one season to the other, I mean, I think you've said to me in the past that the doc said when you lost it, don't worry, lads, we'll be back.
He did. But sometimes you could say that pitch the short, really, can't you? After a year later. But we did. We had a great team. We had 2 great wins. Who basically was Gordon. You had Pancho and Jimmy Greenoff was the main one coming. Who was a great player as well. I've always felt sorry for Jimmy because he never played for England, because I think he should have played for England. But defensively we were the only thing with the final against Liverpool, which everyone thought was going to be a problem, because Stuart Houston broke his leg just before the final.
And Arthur came in.
And Arthur, what a great game he had. What a great game. And that made his career. So, there are times, in life where the job you're in, especially if you're a professional footballer, you have to be there at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, again, your career, the highs and lows, Alex Stepney's done his treble, fantastic memories. But then obviously, you get into the age where, they're looking, you're going to not necessarily pack it in, but you're going to move on. I mean, America was calling, etc. But what was that like when you had to let go of United, Al?
Well, it was a bit different in respect, because I knew I wasn't going to get another contract. Dave Sexton and I, we didn't really get on. Because, you have that situation. Well, I broke my hand. Imran Varadi broke my hand. I was out for 6 weeks. And
was he Ipswich?
I think he was at Sheffield United.
Oh, that's
I remember right.
Wow.
And anyway, and Paddy Rose had come in. Yeah. I mean, not wrong with Paddy, have you? And then I was due to play my first reserve game, with my hand strapped up, after 6 weeks. And Dave tried to get Jim Blythe from Coventry. Yeah. And on the Thursday, he failed his medical. As I'm due to play my first reserve game. Of course, on a Friday, all of a sudden Dave Sexton's in front of me. I said, "Can you do me a favour?" I said, "Well, what do you want?" He said, Can you play? He said, "I can't play Paddy tomorrow." He said, "Can you play, in the first?" I said, "No." Although I would love to have played for Major. I said, "No," because there was no goalkeeper subs in those days. Yeah. And I said, "Look," "if that goes, it's not fair on you or even the supporters." I said, "I'll play my reserve game. If that comes out, then if you need me," and he played Gary Bailey. Oh. And Gary Bailey had a great game. And that was the start of Gary Bailey's career, which I'm, in all fairness, I mean, I wasn't going to last another season.
Right.
But it was great for Gary Bailey.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's the goalkeepers union.
Well, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, you stick together.
Yeah.
So you've left United. Yeah. What was the next stage, Stan?
Well, I mean, it was before my contract ran out. I mean, the game was taken off in America. North American Soccer League, and Dallas came in for me for 2 seasons. Wow. So I played their first season, which is March to September or something like that. I came back and I played for Orchard.
Yeah.
To keep yourself fit before I went out again. That was it.
Wow. Fond memories of America?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was, I mean, I suppose tourism was only at Florida in those days. But to go to America and play all over America and Canada, it was a great experience. I mean, there was lots of other great players there. Your Beckenbauers, your Leiskers, and Shinalia, Eusebio was there. everyone was there. Cruyff, boom.
You played for arguably one of the greatest managers ever with Sir Matt Busby, but I know you speak very highly of Sir Alf Ramsey and your England sort of time with him.
Yeah, I mean...
Obviously, you'd have loved more games.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I think I was 17, 20 times or something.
Yeah.
But the thing with Alf was that he never gave caps away. No. You had to earn it, and he was a great man, a great gentleman. Always spoke. I mean, I know he had elocution lessons because he was a Cockney like me. How are you, Alex? How are you?
Hello there.
Fine, Alf. Fine, Alf.
Yeah.
But no, it was great, and it was a great honour for me to be, in the squad so many times.
Yeah. And obviously, there's a few. Not only have you got your Man United treble, but it's always interesting because joint lead scorer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that season after we won the second division, we went on tour to pre-season tour, Murcia in Spain, and we played in a little competition. There was 4 teams. There was Murcia and I think Valencia. They played each other, and we played Penarol of Uruguay, and we drew against them, and because there had to be a Spanish team in the final, you see. So, anyway. I took a penalty because it was 1-1 and, there was a penalty shootout and that was it. I scored.
Yeah.
But then, I think about the 4th or 5th game of the season, we played Leicester City here at Old Trafford. Night game. And I'm sure it was Jerry Daly failed to finish this because Jerry used to take our penalties.
Yeah.
And Martin Buchan, when the bell went, Martin Buchan said, "Who's taking penalty, boss?" He said, "Alex." But I thought I was going to take one.
You didn't think we'd get one or you were going to be taking a penalty. You've still got that record. Let's another one with your treble.
Well, Peter Shilton didn't like me. He sent it in the wrong way. He's never spoke to me ever since.
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it?
No, he was a miserable man.
So, also, can you put this little theory or this rumour to bed about an injury that you suffered, but a little bit different, Al, with your jaw?
Yeah. Well, that was playing against Birmingham away, and in the first minute, it was a night game. In the first minute, their centre forward, Bob Hanna, I think his name was. They got a free kick, and because you've got to go, and it's high up there, you have to go, and you're either going to get clobbered or you're going to get, you can catch the ball. But it just nutted me, right my jaw, unconscious. Next thing I know, Tommy Cabinet's got a cold sponge over me head. You're all right. Anyway, because you come round and that's how it would. So I played on, and because you're adrenaline, you do, We went in at half time and had a cup of tea. And I could feel it coming up. Should have relaxed. I went out the second half and I got the ball and I went to shout to Martin Buchan because that's what I used to do. I used to be like, crack. And it went. So I finished up in Birmingham General, but that was it. I seen Brian Greenough running goal. Jimmy Nicholl was one sub. There was one sub. I think he came on, and we won 2. It was 0-0 when that happened, but we won 2-0. So Brian Greenough was a better goalkeeper than me, wasn't he? Think about it.
Claim to fame.
Yeah, but I played the next week. So today, a couple of months off, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. When we look at your goalkeeping career as such, obviously you went into the coaching side and you did a bit at City.
Yeah, I mean...
memories.
Well, the actual thing about it was that, I'd done all my exams with the PFA for managerial courses and everything, and qualified in that, but I found it very difficult. Because you're never going to start at the top anyway. Back then, you have to go down the lower leagues. But I honestly thought that the managers in the lower leagues, they don't want someone coming in. I'm not talking about goalkeeping. I'm talking about helping out in a team. They don't want somebody who's won things. You know, especially what I won.
Yeah.
Found it very difficult. And then I was at a dinner down in London. James Mossop, who used to write for the Sunday Express at the time, the press had a ladies' evening, for the time they were away all over the year, and me and my wife went down, and there was Dave Sadd and his wife, Harry Redknapp and his wife, Alan Ball and his wife, and Frank Lampard Senior and his wife. So I was sat next to Alan, and he was manager of Exeter. And I was transport manager here in Trafford Park, a body repair shop here. And I used to finish at 1 o'clock on a Saturday. And I just said to Alan, I lived in Rochdale at the time, and I just said to Alan, who does your scouting for you? And he said, well, we can't afford a scout. I said, well, no. I said, I'll do it for now, just to get me out. I said, I'll finish at 1 o'clock, no problem. And I'm in Rochdale. So there's Rochdale, there was Preston, there was Huddersfield, local Blackpool, doesn't matter, it's all around. I said, I could do it for now for you. Oh, great, done it for a year. Then he became manager of Southampton. And then Norrie McNenemy, who was the manager who beat us in the final, phoned me up. He said, Alex, Alan Warren should be chief scout for the North West in the Premiership. So I was done Liverpool, Everton, City, United and Leeds. And Alan said to me one day, he said, I'd ask you to come down and be my goalkeeper coach. He said, but you know what football's like. And then he became manager of City. And he got on the phone, come on, you can back in football. So although that might sound a bit, what's the name, Tony Colton, Joe Corrigan was at Liverpool. But it's not what you know, it's who you know, and
Yeah, the network.
The network, it's not about, working for City, obviously, but your heart is always at Manchester United, but you've got a job to do, and that's what I did.
Yeah. I know in the past you've always spoke very highly and expecting him to perhaps get higher in his career, if you like, or do a lot better, but I know you had a lot of time and an influence on Nicky Weaver.
I did. I wanted him to be, well, he played for England under 21 under me. So I wanted that there, but things didn't work out in many aspects. And Stevie Coppell actually became manager of City while I was there. And he was only there a month.
Yeah.
And he said, go anywhere in the world and find me a goalkeeper. And I did. I found one. And he played at Bradford on a reserve game, and they won one. We had a blinder anyway. Cut long story short. And that was on the Thursday night. On the Friday morning, Steve Coppell resigned. And I told Farley Lee, who was chairman, I said, Farley, you've got to get this kid. He's only 18, 19. And it fell through. But that was Mark Schwarzer.
Wow.
I found Mark Schwarzer, and the ironical thing about it, who was manager of Bradford on the Thursday night, was Chris Kamara.
Right.
He saw him and signed him.
Oh, well, yeah.
But hey, that's one of them things. I mean, I finished at Burnley under Stan Turner, and they bought Robbie Blake on a Monday for £1 million, and on the Friday, I think, ITV Digital paid all their wages, in the Championship, went book.
Yeah.
So that was me out of a job.
Right.
And then the club phoned me up and said, come on, what are you doing in hospitality? And I've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant, Alex.
Well, that's Manchester United, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, it's back to that, what you mentioned at the very beginning, family, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Alex, listen, you've told some brilliant stories. You took us down memory lane.
Mm.
Just a couple more to finish off with. Your best memory with Man United?
Oh, I think this took my very first game. It's something, as a kid, you dreamed of becoming a professional footballer and playing for a top first division club. That was it. But obviously, winning the European Cup was just surreal, really, in my second season. And after all the emotion, over the 10 years that happened, and not only we did it, but the supporters as well. The supporters are fantastic. My only my only downside of winning the European Cup was on it was a Wednesday night. On the Thursday morning, Bobby, Nobby and myself had to go with England to play in Germany and then on to the Nations Cup in Italy. So we never came back with the team. So we missed that homecoming. Now that's, of course, by the time we came back, it was all over, you know. It was, and my only other regret is that sadly my father passed away when I was 17, so he never saw me achieve what I achieved.
Wow. You've told us about the highs and the lows. As a goalkeeper, who, in your opinion, was the best forward you ever came up against?
I would say, in all honesty, a player who had so much talent, Jimmy Greaves.
Wow.
Jimmy Greaves was not a centre forward. He was basically an inside forward, but his way he played and the way he scored goals, and I think he was just different class.
What was it like sharing a room with Paddy Crerand?
You won't be able to show this on this podcast because it would be embarrassing for him. I don't really want to embarrass him because he used to embarrass me, but I'm not that kind of guy. He's half Scottish and half Irish, anyway.
Alex Stepney, it's been a pleasure. What a note to finish on. Thank you very much indeed, Alex. Cheers. Thank you. Remember to tune in to the Man United Legends podcast on a weekly basis. Click the link below and subscribe to our channel.